All right, day 17. Okay, now that we have a more deeper handle on getting to matters of our hearts, we're going to take it another step further and invite others in with us. Ooh, I know it sounds scary. Other people, right? Okay, dancing in conversation is the theme for today. So far, you have done the work to provide clarity in what your commitments are. You created personalized affirmations. You used your body to move and express our repressed emotions, thus getting to set the standards necessary to provide freedom for your life. Yeah, we're on track. Okay. Now it's time to get our quote unquote hands dirty and practice by having conversations with the people in our lives. And we're going to do that with the people from opposite spectrums. Okay. So take out your journal and list out your top 5 favorite people, and then list the last 5 favorite people in your life. These are the 5 people that you've been avoiding lately. Okay. So whenever we go to look at the top favorite people, we're going to evaluate and send letters of acknowledgement and love. And then for the last 5 favorite people, the 5 people that you avoid or currently avoiding, we're going to see why we are and clear it out with them. I know the last one sounds like super challenging, but think of this. It's kind of like an energy thing, right? Where it's unfinished business. And not to be like, not Debbie Downer. I forget that term, but you guys know you guys are gonna know what I mean when I say the next thing. We never know when we or someone leaves the planet. That's something that's completely out of our control. So, are you willing to be okay with not communicating what needs to be said, acknowledge, or make amends within those last moments of life? Are we going to have the possibility of living with regret for the rest of our lives if we don't speak up? So, this exercise hopefully will move you into clearing out all the unfinished, quote unquote, unfinished business, right? I'm not going to leave you hanging. I have some few tips for you. So, tips to dance in the conversation. The first tip is to set an intention before the conversation. It's very helpful if you write this down, leave it on page. So it's physical in matter, right? We set an intention of how you want you and the other person to leave, feeling at peace, grateful, feeling complete. If it's like a completion conversation, I have coached many women to have these conversations, whether if they're leaving a job and they want to leave with dignity and they want to leave with, feeling just a sense of completion so that they can move on to the next thing, we can do that, right? It all starts with setting that intention of how you want yourself and the other person to leave feeling. Once we take the time to do that before we even just react to a conversation, it will just create more space, more compassion, more grace. Okay? The next tip is when it comes to delivering deep appreciation, be creative. Think outside the box in terms of like surprising them with acknowledgement and gratitude. Think about something that it's like, will really have them feel delighted by hearing from you. And I'm sure this is going to be really easy. It can be like super easy to just say, hey, send them a text, say, hey, thank you for always being there for me and listening to me, blah, 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 blah. And just that, yeah, that's cool and stuff. But like, what if you had like took the time to handwrite them a letter and send it to them, or like send them flowers, or whoever you deeply appreciate, whether it's your mom, your best friend, your coworker who always has your back at work, like, your top 5 favorite people. Have it be really creative and like think outside the box, right? And then the next tip for difficult conversations, I'd like for you to journal it out first. If you are someone who is resistant to journaling, maybe do I know this sounds very cliche, but a pros and cons list of one, having the conversation with a person. And or if you have just remember when we go into conversations, would you rather be right or be in love? Right? When we get into their pros and cons lists, sometimes preparing, people kind of like automatically think we're doing pros and cons of why they should stay in our lives and why not. But how about not blaming the other person for what they did, or you blaming yourself for not what you did or what they didn't do? We just stand in that the relationship is either complete, or stand in that this relationship works, and then do the pros and cons list from there, right? So not as a me versus you, but a me and you type thing. Okay. And you'll understand why after this next tip. But so if you don't want to just free write and journal out all your feelings and emotions, you can just do a bulleted point list, right? So let the first draft be a dump of emotions and feelings that, as you know, might not be true, but just lame thoughts or stories that you made up about what happened. There's a difference between what you think happened, what you perceive to happen, and what is. We can get into that later if you need to. Just DM me. Okay, I'm really good at helping you be the sounding board for you to see what is like an emotionally charged thought and what actually happened, right? Or what is. So next point, never assume how the other person is feeling as the truth, but you can look to see what it's like in their shoes and then ask him if that's how you left them feeling. I did this the other day actually with my boyfriend. I helped him think about, well, one, it was like, you never want to assume how they feel, right? So I would ask him, I don't want to assume anything, but I am, by what you're sharing, this is what I'm getting. Is that right? You see how that sounds, rather than like, you did this to me, you didn't do this for me, blah, 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 things like that. So that's an example, quick example. And then the next is to be open for them to share how they felt without judgment or being defensive right away. This takes a lot for us to bite our tongues, to not completely easily defend ourselves for how they feel. Just think about, okay, all feelings are valid. All feelings are valid. All feelings are valid. Remembering that they have every right to their perception on how they saw what went down, and you also have the right. So it's not like I said, it's not a right or wrong morality type thing. It's more of like I see you, you see me, okay? And then moving on from there. Just give them the space to express themselves as if you were the page of their first draft, right? Because most likely they didn't take the time to sit down and write a first draft of all of their emotions and feelings that are not true. It's just thoughts and stories that they held about what happened, their perception. Okay, you can give them that compassion and grace. So it is a gift a practice to not take things personally. If you ever read The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, or maybe it's the other way. I'm sorry, I butchered the author's name. It's been a while since I read that book, but it's very impactful. You should read it. One of the agreements is to not take things personally. Don't ever take things personally, because really everyone is a reflection. How people react to us is a reflection of their own triggers. Just like we're doing the work here, right, to see our own triggers and doing the work to release any of the old stories that are not in alignment with what we're committing to now, so that we can create space. Sometimes we are that person for others to, we're the one who is going to reflect back a trigger within them. And then they have to deal with their own insecurities and their own judgments and all of that stuff. But we can be the bigger person to give them grace for it and not take it personally. It has nothing to do with you. How other people feel about you is really none of your business. And I'm sure you guys have heard that before, but it's really true. So, we only go as far as we are safe enough, supported enough, ready and willing enough, or in pain enough. This is going to be scary for most. It's going to take a lot of vulnerability. And I am here for you, as I am with you every day during this challenge, but more so during this time, because I know how much your ego, identity, inner roommate, will want to fight this, will want to not show up for this. There's a huge resistance around it, because you know why? That huge resistance, that energy that you feel, might be the same magnitude of relief that you'll get from it. And that is scary. It's scary for our smaller self. It's scary for the uncertain, unknown, right? And the more resistance you feel, that energy, it's just a direct correlation of the magnitude, the shift that's going to happen. Okay, so show up for the sake of having a clear and fully expressed life of ownership and freedom from your limitations. This is access for your sparkle. You can do it. And after these conversations, the next morning you'll wake up and you feel a lot of relief. Maybe transformed, dare I say. Anyways, like I said, I'm here for you. Please reach out to me. You guys are doing great. You guys are rock stars. I am so proud of all of you from day one. Okay? Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow.